Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited because in today's video, I'm going to be doing half of my face with affordable products and then half of my face with high-end products. So I chose products that are very similar to each other, but one being affordable and one being high-end. So I wanted to see the difference in how it would wear throughout the day. So I'm going to put them to the test and then I will update you with a wear test later on. So if you have not already done so, please subscribe to my channel to see all of my future uploads, and let's get started. Alright, so I really have to remember which side is which so I don't confuse them. So let's get started with primers. So for the primers today, for the high-end side, I chose to use the Beauty Blender Opal Essence Serum Primer. This is a really nice primer. It's just, a little bit pricey. It's $32, so that's pretty pricey for a primer. So for the affordable side, I chose to use the Hard Candy Sheer Envy Perfecting Primer. It's a 12-hour line reducer, minimizes lines and pores for a smooth finish. So I love this primer. I think this is one of my favorite drugstore primers. It's really nice and it makes your makeup last throughout the day. Its value is at $6.96. I got it at Walmart. They always have them at Walmart, so that's really where I go pick them up at. So let's put them on and see how they compare. Alright, so I think this side of my face, so the left side of my face, I'm going to do the high end. The right side of my face, I'm going to do affordable. So let's start. Alright, so I'm using the Beauty Blender. Alright, so I'm just using this side of my face. I'm gonna blend that in. This is really a really nice primer. It's very tacky, so it actually helps your foundation to stick onto the face. I'm gonna try my best not to get it on the other side. So I've always really liked this primer. I've tried primers that are just as good for a lot less money, like the Hard Candy one. So let's see how they compare throughout the day. I'm gonna go in with the Hard Candy on the right side of my face. So this is what the Hard Candy one looks like. It's not necessarily a serum, but it does have that blurring look, which I really like. And it feels really nice on the face. It just blurs everything together, minimizes pores. Okay. Alright, so let's see how these look. So on the face, it looks like the Hard Candy side, so the affordable side, it actually looks like it's minimizing my pores a little bit more than this side, which was the Beauty Blender side. So, and the Beauty Blender side looks a little bit more, it has more of a glow to it, whereas this side is more matte. So, alright, let's see how the foundation holds up with these. Alright, so for foundation today, I decided for the high end to go in with my OG Too Faced Born This Way foundation. This is my favorite foundation ever. I'm obsessed with it, so I really want to see how it compares to the e.l.f. Flawless Satin Foundation. So I also really like this. This is a really good drugstore foundation, and e.l.f. always has really nice products, so this has been really nice. I've really enjoyed this. So the price difference on these, so the Born This Way Too Faced Foundation is $40, whereas the e.l.f. is $6. So I'm going to start with the Too Faced. I'm running out of this, so I have to go pick up some more. Alright. So let's see how they compare. It's really hard to do the chin on two different sides, but I'm gonna do it. And I hope the shades are kind of similar, so they should be. So the Too Faced foundation, it's always just been a go-to for me just because it's so nice on the face. It feels really nice. It feels very lightweight. It feels like skin, and that's what I really like in a foundation. It has a good amount of coverage too, so you're not like looking cakey or anything like that. So that's why I really like it, and it lasts throughout the day. So I've always had good, you know, good reviews about this one. I'm just like interested to see on how they look on the face, just because they're so, the price difference is just like so much. So I really just want to see how they differ. And I did go ahead on a dampened beauty sponge. Alright, so good amount of coverage. I think it looks flawless. So let's move on to the e.l.f. Alright, so this is the e.l.f. Flawless Satin Foundation, and this is the shade 210 Natural. Oh, my shade in the Too Faced is Porcelain. So this is also a pump. Alright, so off the bat, this consistency is a lot thicker than the Too Faced one, so it's a little bit more matte. But let's go ahead and, okay. Alright, shades look pretty good. And this is a beautiful foundation. It's very full coverage, so I like that. And very affordable. It's a $6 foundation. I mean, you really like can't go wrong, especially with e.l.f. They have beautiful products. The Too Faced formula is a lot more liquidy than the e.l.f. The e.l.f. is a little bit more thick. So it's just going to give a more mattifying look, whereas the Too Faced is going to give more of a glowy, natural look, but still has a decent amount of coverage. Alright, so I went in with the same amount on both sides. So the Too Faced side, looking at it like straight on, I feel like it has a little bit more coverage than the e.l.f. side. I mean, just around like in these areas, like around my nose, especially like around my chin, I have a little bit of breakouts. So I think it's a little bit more full coverage on that side, which is interesting because it has more of a liquidy formula. I mean, I think that they look really, really good. I don't see like too much of a difference. That's just like me like up close with the mirror, like really looking at it. But honestly, I don't see that much of a difference. For concealer, I decided to go in with, on the high-end side, I'm going to go in with the Dose of Colors concealer. This is in the shade Light. So this value is at $24 for the concealer. And then on the affordable side, I'm going in with the Wet n Wild Mega Last Incognito. I've really been liking this lately. I've been using it a lot. This one is $4.99. This, $24. I'm going to go in with the high-end side first. And this is also the Dose of Colors. It's a really, really nice concealer. It's pretty full coverage. All right, now let me go in on the Wet n Wild side. So I really like the applicator on this. It's very flexible, so it's like easy to kind of get in there. And the shades are pretty close. I mean, this one is, I think it's a little darker than this, but I think we can make it work. All right, so let's go ahead and blend. I've always heard really good things about Dose of Colors, so I really wanted to try it. And the concealer I heard really good things about, so I'm like, let me just give it a try. So it's full, it's very full coverage. I've seen that it, you know, lasts throughout the day. Minimal creasing, but we'll see how it shapes up against the Wet n Wild side. This is such a nice concealer. Like, I've been so impressed with it. It truly like makes my makeup last. It really has minimal creasing. I mean, obviously you're gonna crease under your eyes because that's just natural, like it's gonna happen. But, you know, some concealers just break apart so easily, but this one really like has minimal creasing. Alright, so both of the concealers are on. Let's take a look. So this is the Dose of Color side. So this is the $24 concealer. It looks really good. I mean, it's full coverage. It minimizes my lines, my fine lines, gets rid of the darkness around my eyes. And the Wet n Wild side also looks really good. I think that the Dose of Colors has a little bit more full coverage rather than the Wet n Wild side, but the Wet n Wild side still looks really good for a $5 concealer. But the Dose of Colors side is already starting to crease, and I mean, this is before I put powder and set, but it's already starting to crease and I just put it on. So let me go in with powder and see how that works with it. All right, so for the powders today, for my setting powder under my eyes, the high-end side, I'm going to go in with the Kat Von D Translucent Locket Powder. This is like my favorite. I absolutely love it. So it's a mini one, but if you were to get the regular size one, it's $31. And on the affordable side, I'm going to go in with the Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder. This is $4.99. This is also really, really nice. It's a really nice finish on the eyes. It brightens up under the eyes, so I've really been enjoying it. I'm going to go in with my Dampen Beauty Sponge. I'm just going to put a little bit in here. I just put a little just to set under the eyes, not too much. And see, like it's already, so the dose of color is already starting to crease. So let me get the powder on there. And then I'm going to go in on this side with the Essence. So again, I'm just going to dip it in my sponge. And that just like has such a nice brightness to the under eye, so I've really been liking that. For lids, for my lid primer, I am going in with the high-end side with the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in Eden. This is also an OG of mine. I love it. So this is $24 for this lid primer. And I'm going to go on the affordable side with the Milani Eyeshadow Primer. So this is in the shade Nude, and this values at $6.99. So let me go on this side first with the Urban Decay. I mean, I've been using this forever and I've loved it. So it's like always my go-to. It just mattifies the eyelid, keeps that eyeshadow on throughout the day. So I've always really loved it. It's always been my go-to. Go on this side with the Milani. And this has also been, you know, pretty nice. I've tried it a few times and I mean, it's not bad. Let's see how it shapes up today against the Urban Decay one. Okay, let's go and blend this one out. So offhand, I can feel that the Urban Decay has a little bit more tackiness to it. So it'll help kind of mattify the eye for the eyeshadow to go on. So that's kind of what I look for in a primer for my lids, just so I know that my shadows are really going to stay throughout the day. So for eyes, I was really trying to like get one high-end palette and one affordable palette that really kind of meshed well together and looked identical almost, or looked as closely as they can. I am going to use on the high-end side the Natasha Denona 5 palette shadow. And this is the Peak palette. This is just like a beautiful array of colors. I think it's beautiful. This is like kind of my go-to. So I really, really like this. And then on the affordable side, I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Color Iconic palette. This is also a 5-pan shadow palette. And I mean, I thought that they were like pretty similar. They're a little different, but I think that we can make it work so that way they look similar. So let me put them up together. So like up together, I mean, I think they look really similar. So let's see what we can do with these. So the Natasha Denona is $48 and the Wet n Wild is $2.99. So that's a huge difference. So let's see how they shape up next to each other. So I'm gonna go in first with this shade right here. This is in the shade Jasper. And I'm gonna use that as my transition. I'm just gonna get a fluffy brush and kind of just put this all over my crease. I mean, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. Natasha Denona has beautiful eyeshadows, don't get me wrong. But a 5-pan palette is $48. I mean, that's a significant amount of money for a 5-shadow eye palette. So, you know, I really wanted to see how the Wet n Wild shapes up to it, because Wet n Wild, it does have really beautiful shades. And the formula is really nice too. So the Natasha Denona, like the formula is great. It's like easy to blend out. I mean, it's nice. It's not like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. So we'll see. But I mean, so far, like easy to blend, not really a lot of patchiness. So I think it looks nice. So then on this side, I think I'm going to go in with this shade right here for the Wet n Wild. It looks a little darker than the Natasha Denona, but I think we can make it work. Oh yeah, it's pretty similar. It's a little darker, but there is a darker shade on the Natasha Denona side that I can use. The Wet n Wild side, the shadows, the formula is good. It's a little harder to blend out rather than the other side. So, you know, it just takes a little bit more to blend. But again, like really pigmented. I think this side is more pigmented than this side. And I went in with like the same amount on each side. So, you know, this shade was a tad bit darker, or at least it looks it in the pan. So let me try to go in with the other side on the Natasha Denona just to like deepen it up a little bit more, just so it matches more with the Wet n Wild side. Yeah, once you deepen that up, it really starts looking almost the same. I'm going to take a smaller brush and I'm going to go in with this shade right here, that middle one. This is in the shade Thorn. It's like a darker brown. So with this, I'm going to go on my outer corner and just deepen it up a little bit. I'm going to bring it up to my crease just a little bit, just kind of like get it right in there just to make it a little deeper. I mean, it's beautiful. I do really like this shade in this palette. I'm just going to stamp it on that outer corner for now. And then I'm going to go in and just kind of blend it all out. And just deepen up that crease just a little bit. So now on the Wet n Wild side, there is this shade right here, and they look pretty similar. So let's see what we can do on this side for that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go on the outer corner, and then I'm going to bring it up to my crease a little bit just to deepen it up. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that in there. And then just bring it up to my crease a little bit. They look like almost identical. That's crazy. So I'm going to go in my crease a little bit more. I'm going to deepen up this side as well, just to give it a little bit more. Stamp that on there. I've been like brushing off the excess on a tissue just so that way I don't, you know, mix up the two. I think it looks pretty good. Let me go in just a little more with this side. I'm just going to use that bigger fluffy brush that I was using earlier just to kind of blend it out a little bit. And I'm going to go in with this shimmer shade right here. And in this palette, it's called, the shade is Aya. And I'm going to put it on my finger here. It's a really, really beautiful shade. So I'm going to put that on my lid. And that's just really pretty, like that golden champagne-y kind of color. So that is really beautiful. So now on the Wet n Wild side, I'm going to go in with this shimmery shade right here, and I'm going to pack that on my lid as well. Still really pretty, like a really pretty shade. The Natasha Denona side, the color looks a little bit more golden rather than the Wet n Wild side. It's a little brighter. I mean, I still think they look like pretty similar. Let me go in a little bit more on this side just to try to brighten it up and have it match a little bit more. On the Wet n Wild palette, there is a shimmer shade right next to it that is a little bit more gold. So I'm going to try to blend that in with the other one just to see if that will make any kind of difference. Oh yeah, I think that's closer to the other one. It just looked different in the palette. It always looks different in the palette than it does on your actual lid. Yeah, that's definitely better. All right, so I think they look pretty similar. All right, so for my waterline, I'm going to go in with this shade right here, that brown, and just kind of like buff it out and deepen it up a little bit. This is the Natasha Denona side. And now on the Wet n Wild side, I'm going to go in with this brown and put that on my waterline as well. For liner today, for the high-end side, I'm going to go in with this Sigma Line Ace liquid eyeliner. So the Sigma one is $14. And then on this side, I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Precision Liquid Eyeliner, and this is $4. So let's see how they shape up next to each other. This is the Sigma. This is what it looks like. So I'm going to go, just going to make a small kind of line. I'm not going to go crazy today. And I've actually used this in the past, like I've used it before, and I honestly didn't like it that much because it was really hard to actually get the pigment out. Like it took a while to like build it up. And I mean, it's doing kind of the same thing right now, so like I feel like nothing is coming out, and I've only used this like a few times, so don't know what's going on with that. Now we're gonna go on the affordable side with the e.l.f. So this one is definitely like a lot thicker, you can see. So I'm just gonna do a small line like I did on this side, and this one is $4. It's a lot more pigmented, like you can see like the difference on them. Right, I don't know if there's like something wrong with the Sigma one or something, but nothing was coming out. I don't know. I've only used it like once. The e.l.f. is a lot more pigmented than this one. You can see it's like really black, easy to apply, easy to use. So I really, really like that. All right, so for the sake of my eyes looking the same, I'm just gonna go in with the e.l.f. on this side just so they look like the same because they look completely different right now. So I'm gonna go in with this eye just a little bit just to kind of like make it a little similar because I am going out after this, so I don't want my eyes to look that crazy. So for mascara, I'm really excited to see how these shape up next to each other. So for the high-end side, I'm using the Tarte Man Eater Mascara. I really like this. This is really nice. It's a beautiful mascara. On this side, I'm using the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara. So, and this has been like great. It's beautiful for like lengthening your lashes. So let's see how they compare. And the Tarte Man Eater is $23 and the L'Oreal Telescopic is $10.99. All right, so let's go on with the Man Eater first. It definitely has a bigger wand, so it's a lot thicker. So that's good for volumizing. So let's see how this shapes up. It definitely volumizes the lashes. But again, for $23, if we can find another one that is, you know, does the same thing. I'm gonna go on my bottom lashes. Alright, so it definitely does a beautiful job at volumizing the lashes. I think it does look really nice. So let's see how the L'Oreal works. The L'Oreal at Ulta for $10.99. So the wand is a lot different on the L'Oreal one, so let's see how it differs from the Tarte. And the reason I put these up against each other was because I definitely saw a similarity between them when I first bought the L'Oreal, because I've used the Tarte before. So I'm like, oh, that kind of like reminds me of it. Not because of the wand, just because of how the lashes look afterwards. So I just wanted to see them next to each other to see exactly, you know, the difference and which one looks better. Nicked myself. So a good trick for that is if you do get mascara on yourself, wait for it to dry rather than going in right away and taking it off, because it's just going to smudge. When you wait for it to dry, it gets flaky and just kind of like literally picks off. So I'm going to wait for that. This side, the Man Eater side, looks almost identical to this side, the L'Oreal side. And this is $23 and this is $10.99. So it just kind of goes to show you what products you can splurge a little bit more on rather than getting the affordable one. So for bronzer today, I decided to go in with NARS Laguna bronzer. So it actually is, this is a duo one. So it's, so I have the mini one, but I'm just going to use it for the sake of today's video. But if you were to get the average size of this, the big size of this, it's $38. And on the affordable side, I'm going in with the Makeup Revolution bronzer. This is the Mega Bronzer. And this is $8 at Ulta. So let me compare the two. I'm going to start with this side. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful bronzer. Like, I love it, but $38 on a bronzer, like, it's like, meh, do I really want to spend that kind of money? I mean, yeah, like, obviously, like, to splurge a little bit, like, that would be good, but, you know, if you can find a dupe for it for a lot less money, why not? So let's just see how the two compare. I'm going to go in with the Revolution side. Okay. So off the bat, this side, so the Revolution is so pigmented, like you really truly don't need a lot of it. Whereas I think the NARS side, you kind of have to build it up a little bit to get that pigment. And this side, I mean, the Revolution is still a really beautiful bronzer. And for $8, it's like, you know, how can you kind of go wrong here? Blush today, I'm going to go in with the NARS Duo again, just because the Orgasm blush is in this one as well, and I really, really like this for a high-end blush. And on the affordable side, I'm going to go in with the Milani Rose Powder Blush. So it's also a really beautiful blush. It's very pigmented, and it really lasts throughout the day. So let's see how they compare. So first I'm going to go in with the NARS on this side. And I'm just going to kind of tap it on there. Oh, I mean, it's a beautiful color. I love this. I love this, this blush. I think it's so nice. It's very like natural looking. It just gives a little bit of rosiness to the cheeks. So I think it's really, really nice. The NARS Orgasm blush is $30. The Milani Rose Powder blush is $9.49 at Ulta. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with the Milani on this side. And it's definitely a lot more pigmented, so I'm going to just kind of see how it is. Yeah, so it's definitely, I only used like a tiny bit. I literally just put it a little bit in my brush, and like it's really pigmented. So definitely a little bit goes a long way for the Milani. So for the NARS, I just feel like you have to really build it up to get the color that you want. But with the Milani, it's just so pigmented and like in your face. So, I mean, we'll see how they wear throughout the day. So now for highlight, I'm going in with the high-end side with the Ofra highlighter in Soho. And I mean, Ofra's highlighters are incredible. Like, they've always been really, really nice. Always been like blinding and beautiful and glowy. So I really wanted to try it out against the Catrice More Than Glow highlighter. And this is like really, really blinding too. It's in the Supreme Rose Beam color. So I thought it would kind of go well with the more rosy Ofra one. So they're both beautiful highlighters. So let's see them up next to each other. I'm going to go in first with the Ofra. And the Ofra highlighter, I forgot to mention, is $35. The Catrice is $6. The Ofra first. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful highlight. Like, Ofra always does such a good job with their highlighters. Like blinding and glowy and just beautiful. And I'm going to go in with the Catrice on this side. And I'm using the same amount on both. The Catrice is just so blinding. Like, look at that. That is so beautiful. I mean, so this is the Ofra side. It's a little bit more subtle than the Catrice side. The Catrice is like really blinding and like in your face, glowy. Love that. So I think I'm going to have to give it to the Catrice on the highlight. I'm going to go in on my lips with the Kylie liquid lipstick on this side. And then on this side, I'm going to do the e.l.f. liquid matte lipstick. So they're both matte lipsticks. I thought the color was pretty similar. I mean, we'll see how it looks on the lips and see if I can do kind of both. But let's see. So in the Kylie, this is in the shade Autumn. The e.l.f., the shade Mauvelous. So let's see those. So the Kylie is $17, e.l.f. is $6. Alright, so let's go in on the Kylie. Really easy applicator too. I really like their applicators. So I'm just gonna like draw a line here, I guess. So hard not to go on the other side just because I'm so used to doing that. Now let's go in on the e.l.f. side. The applicator is definitely a lot different. I feel like this is easier to kind of sculpt out the lips. So let's see. Oh, the shades are actually like a lot closer than I thought they would be. So that's good. So I'm gonna have like discolored lips today. Okay. Alright, so the Kylie one definitely went on more matte, whereas the e.l.f. is a little bit more creamy. It's still matte, but it's a little bit more creamy rather than the Kylie. And I feel like the Kylie is a lot more drying than the e.l.f. For setting spray today for my high-end side, I'm going to go in with the Urban Decay All Nighter. This is $33. And then on the affordable side, I'm going to go in with the Catrice Illuminating Prime and Fine. This is $8. So I've really been enjoying this. So I'm going to like try to do this as best as I can. So I'm going to block this side. Okay. Alright, so let's see how that shapes up. And I really love both. The Catrice is actually like really nice. It's like really illuminating. I think I might have sprayed a little bit too much on, but that's okay. Alright, so that is the final look. So this is the high-end side, this is the affordable side. So I really honestly think that they both look good. I think that you can easily do the same look with a lot more affordable prices. So, I mean, this kind of just goes to show that you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money on makeup to get a really nice look. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and please give it a thumbs up if you did. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to see you in my next video. So I will see you all very, very soon, and thank you so much. Bye.